NASA initially predicted that the Hubble Telescope would last about 15 years, but it's still operating today more than 30 years later. One unique feature about the Hubble Telescope is that it allows us to see objects more clearly because it is above the clouds in Earth's atmosphere. This is a good thing, but could this also be terrifying? Some of these objects captured are downright alarming and most likely one of the craziest things you've ever seen. You might want to take some deep breaths before we get into this video, because we are going to be looking at some of the most frightening things Hubble has stumbled upon during the years it has existed. Let's start with the less terrifying images to the most terrifying ones. Top of the list is images of CW Leonis. The CW Leonis is a red giant star that is mostly made of carbon. It is located in the constellation of Leo and is about 500 times larger than the Sun. From the image released by the Hubble Space Telescope, CW Leonis appears to be tangled in orange-red cobwebs. These cobwebs are usually dusty clouds of spots carbon that are consuming the dying star. They are created from the outer layer of the CW Leonis being thrown out into the inky black void. NASA likened the CW Leonis to a hypnotizing vortex, a peek into a witch's cauldron, and a giant space spider web. CW Leonis is our closest carbon star because it is located 400 light-years away from Earth. The changes in the material didn't just start abruptly though. It was a process that went on for years. Hubble witnessed changes in the material around the star between 2001 and 2016. Let's fully examine the star based on the image captured. The complex inner structure of shells and arcs may be shaped like the star's magnetic field. We know that Hubble has witnessed changes in the material around the star for the last 2 decades, but what do these changes mean? These changes are a result of the expansion of threads of ejected material around the star. The bright beams of light radiating outwards from CW Leonis are one of the star's most fascinating features. It is important to note that the star's brightness has changed within 15 years, a long time for us, but an incredibly short period in astronomical terms. In a Twitter post, an official announcement of the Hubble Space Telescope described the light beams of the star as fingers reaching out through the dust. The caption reads, "A dying red star is entangled inside spiderwebs of sooty dust in the Hubble image. Brilliant light beams poke out from the star's surface, like fingers reaching out for the dust." What are they searching for? A star shines when the outward pressure from the fusion furnace at the core balances against the crush of gravity. When the star runs out of hydrogen fuel, the persistent pull of gravity causes the star to start collapsing. As the core shrinks, the shell of plasma surrounding the core becomes hot enough to begin fusing hydrogen, but things don't end here. The pressure and temperature in the core rise to the point that they ignite helium fusion. This generates enough heat to dramatically expand the star's outer layer and swell up into a bloated red giant several times its original size. CW Leonis has an orange-reddish color due to its relatively low surface temperature of 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. The green-tinted beams of light emanating from the star, however, glow at invisible mid-infrared wavelengths. Nonetheless, this image was taken before the Hubble Space Telescope was put into safe mode after experiencing glitches. Let's move on to the next on our list, which is a spooky image captured by the Hubble Space Telescope in 1996 that got people talking. This image is that of a young planetary nebula which is located about 8,000 light-years away. This engraved hourglass nebula can also be called MYCN18. Just in case you're wondering why the nebula is referred to as an hourglass, see for yourself. The image was taken with the Wide Field and Planetary Camera 2, WFPC2, aboard NASA's Hubble Telescope. From this image, we can see that the MYCN18 has an hourglass figure with an intricate pattern of etchings on its walls. Based on Hubble's description, the image featuring the bright orange entity is composed of 3 separate images taken in the light of ionized nitrogen, represented by red, hydrogen, which is represented by green, and double ionized oxygen, which is blue. You could agree with me that this image is very creepy, as it looks like a pair of large outer rings with a small center one, and to be candid, the convergence of the two looks like an eye staring back at the Hubble in the pitch-black darkness of space. Based on a theory, the formation of the hourglass shape of the nebula is produced by the expansion of a fast stellar wind within slowly expanding clouds, which is denser near its equator than its poles. Some astronauts, however, countered that the bright elliptical ring in the center only appears as an equatorial dense region at first sight, but at closer examination would make you discover that it is actually a potato-shaped structure with the symmetry axis dramatically different from that of the larger hourglass. Following this red-hot star, which has been thought to eject and illuminate the nebula, and therefore expected to lie at its center of symmetry, is clearly off-center. Hence, MYCN18 may be said not to fulfill some crucial theoretical expectations. However, it is for the MYCN18, the facts remain that it does look absolutely terrifying. To the next image on our list, we have an image captured by Hubble in 2016. This image shows a dead neutron star glowing inside of the nebula. This star is called the Crab Nebula, and it resides 65,000 light-years away from Earth in the Taurus constellation. Just like the name of the star suggests, the star somewhat looks like a crab, and it looks unsettling as well. The neutron star is spinning rapidly and producing a deadly magnetic field generating 1 trillion volts. This is why the Crab Nebula appears quite scary. The tiny objects blast out blistering pulses of radiation 30 times a second, with unbelievable clock-like precision. Astronomers soon figured out that the Crab Nebula came into life as a result of the crushed core of an exploding star, called a neutron star, which widely spins like a blender on a puree. Interestingly, the star was only able to do this without flying apart because it is 10 billion times stronger than steel. Another factor that makes this Hubble image appear quite scary is that it captures the region around the neutron star, which is unleashing copious amounts of energy that are pushing on the expanding cloud of debris from the supernova explosion. This almost looks like an animal rattling its cage. This image also shows wave-like tsunamis of charged particles embedded in deadly magnetic fields. Now, we move on to an image captured by the Hubble Telescope depicting 2 galaxies colliding. The image was nicknamed the Greater Pumpkin, and I mean, just by looking at the image, you should be able to tell why. The image looks just like the iconic Halloween decorations, forming what appears to be 2 glowing eyes and a crooked carved smile. Imagine discovering this in space and telling me it doesn't give you the chills. Anyway, astronomers have analyzed the picture, and here's the breakdown. It has the resemblance of a pumpkin because the image was captured at the early stages of galaxies NGC 2292 and NGC 2293, slowly colliding. The faint bluish smile is due to a newly formed star cluster, and the glowing eyes are concentrations of stars around 2 supermassive black holes. According to experts, despite the fact that this event is happening very slowly, it could result in a giant spiral galaxy. The Greater Pumpkin Galaxy pair is located 120 million light-years away from Earth. Left to me, calling this great is an understatement because the galaxy pair spans 100,000 light-years. The Greater Pumpkin is definitely at the top of the list of the most creepy things the Hubble has captured, but there is one more that's creepier than this image. This image is an ARP Mador 2026-424, and it is by far the creepiest thing the Hubble Telescope has captured. The image looks like that of a ghostly face with glowing eyes glaring into deep space. The good news about this is that it's 700 million light-years away from Earth. The piercing eyes of this creepy space face are actually the bright cores of 2 distant galaxies in the middle of a head-on collision, and they're surrounded by a mishmash of stars from their respective galactic disks. A ring of young blue stars contours the shape of the eerie face, while dense clumps of stars have come together to form its nose and mouth. NASA officials have explained that the ring structure that outlines the face will last for about 100 million years, while the merging of the 2 galaxies is most likely to carry on for 1 billion to 2 billion years. Do you know what this means? This unsettling creepy pair of eyes is going to keep staring at us throughout our entire generation. Well, at least it is far beyond Earth. That's it for today's video. Which of these images did you find the most creepy? Let us know in the comments section, and like this video if you learned some new and interesting facts.